My English not so good. I'm just learning from a month when I come here to Greece, so go easy with me.
This is Ayub. He's chatting with me from Ioannina, Greece. He seems to be in pretty high spirits considering what he's been through.
This is my path. This is my friend here. We have the bathroom here and the kitchen here.
Ayub is a 24-year-old refugee. When he was 17, he fled war-torn Syria alone, moving around the Middle East and Europe until he arrived in Greece 8 months ago.
I don't have any choice. So that's my life. I need to help myself. No one can help me.
His first stop in Greece when he got here was not this apartment, though. It was in the Greek islands, where asylum seekers are essentially trapped during a pandemic. There have been no reported cases of COVID-19 in the island camps, but there are more than 34,000 migrants and asylum seekers there. These places are at more than 6 times their capacities, meaning they are extra vulnerable to the spread of COVID-19. Ayub never lived in a camp in Chios, where his old apartment was, but he says he had visited a camp there and had seen its conditions.
If you look there, you will see that there are 100 people sharing one bathroom.
There are people who are at greater risk because they face challenges in social distancing. In particular, if they live in refugee settlements or settlements for internally displaced people, or urban slums where you have a large number of people in close quarters, or if they live in a refugee camp, where it may be more difficult for them to achieve that social distance.
This is a big reason why there have been outbreaks at other migrant shelters in Greece. Authorities said 150 people caught the virus at this southern Greece shelter, housing mainly African migrants. The situation in Greece is not unique, as IDP and refugee camps around the world are all facing the reality of the novel coronavirus, including the world's biggest refugee settlement, the Rohingya in Bangladesh. The United Nations says there are 0 confirmed cases here so far, but they're preparing for the worst. As the global economy went into a tailspin, the UN Refugee Agency reported it would need an additional $255 million. This would be to give these communities the basic tools to protect themselves from the virus. This includes better education about hygiene and more hand-washing stations. The UN says donors like Canada and Japan have given them most of the money they appealed for. Some of this funding is going to housing for people like Ayub, whose apartment is being paid for by the UN. He has diabetes and has to stay away from others as much as possible. How are you protecting yourself from COVID-19?
First, to stay in home, I buy the alcohol. I wash my hand.
But refugee advocates say that ultimately, protecting migrants from an outbreak is the responsibility of the host country. So in Ayub's case, Greece. For governments around the world, the timeline of how long this pandemic will last is unknown. So for refugees like Ayub, their entire futures are at a standstill. Thanks for watching Global News. If you want to stay up to date on the latest breaking national and international news, be sure to subscribe to our channel.